So recall when we learned about marginal revenue in the previous unit, we were looking at demand curves that typically slope downward like so, and the marginal revenue curve generally was below the demand curve, right? In other words, because we had to lower the price in order to sell more, the additional revenue we would bring in was always less than the price. And then of course the point at which marginal revenue was zero corresponded with the unit elastic region of demand. Well, in a perfectly competitive market, recall our demand curve is not downward sloping. Our demand curve is just a horizontal line at whatever the current price of the product is. So again, let's say the price is $1. That would mean our demand curve is equivalent to $1 and it's a horizontal line like so. So again, our formula for marginal revenue was marginal revenue equals change in total revenue divided by the change in the quantity of output. So let's say, for example, that we were currently selling 5 products and we were going to go to selling 6 products. So we wanted to know what was the marginal revenue of that 6th unit of output. Well, you would just take the change in total revenue. So of course, initially 1 times 5, our total revenue was $5. Now it's 1 times 6, our change in total revenue is $6. So 6 minus 5, so our total revenue changed by 1. And the change in quantity, we went from producing 5 units of output to 6 units of output, so that was also 1. Therefore, our marginal revenue is 1, right? Which actually is also the price. So marginal revenue would be right here. Let's say we wanted to sell another unit of output. So we're going to sell 7 units of output. Again, you do the same thing. We want to know what's the marginal revenue. Well, you're doing the same thing. You take the change in total revenue. So you went from having $6 of revenue to $7 of revenue. So the change in total revenue again was 1, just like we had here. And then the change in output. You went from 6 units of output to 7 units of output. So your change was 1 again. So our marginal revenue would again be 1. So notice that all we're plotting here is the actual demand curve. The marginal revenue is equivalent to the demand curve in a perfectly competitive market, because every time you sell an additional unit of output, your revenue is changing by whatever the price is. So in this case, our price is $1. Every time I sell another unit of output, that means my revenue is going to increase by $1 because the price does not change. It doesn't matter if I sell 7 units, 8 units, 20 units, 50 units. Every additional unit I sell will bring me in an additional dollar, because that is the set price by the market. So this is the only market structure where the demand for the product is also the marginal revenue for the product. So if I asked you to graph the demand curve, which again would just be the horizontal line, you'd also be graphing the marginal revenue curve, because the demand is equivalent to marginal revenue in a perfectly competitive market since the price does not change.